I'm your host, Sharada Devi, of the Born to be Free podcast that serves as a bridge between the ancient and the new era, a confluence of opposites where all is seen as sacred and every experience is meant to catapult you into your supreme destiny. Om Swastiastu, warm welcome. I am Sharada, the host of the podcast called Born to be Free, and I'm so excited and I feel so privileged and honored, and I also feel very juicy to welcome my dearest friend, sister, teacher, student, incredible woman. You probably know her already, Gaiana Lisboa, known as Gaiana Radha. She is a woman, one of a kind. She's dedicated her life to discover what freedom is. She's been a yoga teacher, an acclaimed yoga teacher for many years, created her own yoga system called dynamic spiral yoga. She worked with myofascia for many years and traveled all over the world, holding retreats and trainings, and trained over thousands of people from all over the world in the system of dynamic spiral yin yoga. And after a huge trajectory, she became a fashion designer. She is the creatrix of Kanika Temple Wear. As many of you know, I'm her biggest fan. Most of my wardrobe is Kanika because each piece is just a masterpiece. And she is also a somatic experiencing trauma therapist, one of a kind. And I've invited her to teach in many of my programs, in the Muse program, as well as in the Priestess training, to teach the wisdom of trauma and to hold sessions. And actually how we got to know each other is that she invited me many years ago to Goa to teach as the yoga philosophy teacher in her dynamic spiral yin yoga training. And it was a love affair since the first sight.
Big love affair.
Big love affair. And she's not only that, but she's like, she's my witch. She's my sister. We have done all kinds of crazy magic. Just thinking of our night in Uluwatu, renting a hotel room and really bringing out the priestess, the witch, the shaman. She initiated me into the world of psychedelics, especially mushroom and psilocybin, in the most wonderful, honoring, informative, safe, preventive, revolutionary way. And so I'm so happy she's here, our Brazilian goddess. And so excited for you to be here. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for that invitation here in the Alps. It could not be more auspicious and beautiful. I really admire you so much and appreciate you as a sister, as who you are, as sacred sexuality coaching and all your Vedanta background, which is, it's powerful in our friendship as well, because always come out in a very beautiful ways that I feel safe around you. And so much we have shared in sacred space, and that's priceless. Yeah, thank you for inviting me here and for inviting me to your flat, to your beautiful place, because that is also, what a week we spent together here.
We've had a week now here together in the Eagle's Nest in
so much fun. You see that?
And this is the reason why we're dressed up like this. You're probably wondering, what are these girls doing here, dressed up with skins and leather and fur.
Big boots.
What's going on? And of course, the coziness always is there in my life. I mean, you cannot be without cozy shoes. It doesn't work. So shall we share like how all of this came to be.
Born to be free.
Born to be free, yes. So basically all of this happened, this whole costume, which is not only a costume, like it's not only a dressing up not only, and not at all. We're not dressing up to escape something or to get validation or to impress you, really. No, this has come from a very different place, from the place of the innocent, erotic, playful being that we're all born actually into.
Totally.
So you want to share what happened yesterday?
In the creativity of what we had in our hands and how it came all together, it was pretty magical. We were here in Valentine's Day, just without expecting anything, and we start seeing all these beautiful outfits and clothes. I start seeing what Dev had, and I found the fox's skin, which I already knew the story of the fox's skin, which is very honored how this fox's skin came all the way here, and it needs to be told. So anyway, I asked Devi to put on her head, and it was this most magical outcome. And when I saw her, I was like, we gotta film this. And yeah, and then the red outfit also came together, and in very spontaneous way, like childlike, and two friends who just want to meet to have fun, two sisters, and want to have fun and joy and playfulness and live the life we talk, right? We walk what we talk. So yeah, we dressed up and we got the video and we got the cameras on, and it came out this stunning, beautiful, sensual video that at the end, I know you can say better than me, it brought a lot of feelings and a lot of content to work on, which was a gift.
Yeah.
I think you would like to share that. How was the experience for you? Because I was here all the way through, and it moved a lot, right?
Yeah, it did. It did. So like Gaiana says, we came together innocently, playfully, not naively, very much aware.
Yeah.
Maybe not 100,000% aware how much it can trigger people wearing a skin. Yet we came together to do this in love, as love, for the day of love, to remind everyone that like we are love. Every day is a day of love. And there's so many people that are under so much pressure on Valentine's Day. Like there's people committing suicide because their partner forgets that day, their partner doesn't call them, they're waiting to be invited, they're waiting to be told that they're loved and wonderful, and they're dying at home in misery, in self-destructive thoughts, and even hurting themselves, like really hurting themselves. And I know I've been there, like I've been this drama queen. When I didn't get the attention from my husband or partner, I would like feel so bad about myself. And I didn't know that I have I knew, but I didn't know that I have all these tools available to me and that I am the most amazing being, just being myself. And I don't need any validation or approval or love from outside. It's all here with me, as me, and I can call up my friend and we can dress up and we can express the love that we are. Right? And so we wanted to kind of invite our community to do that, like if just to come together and play and celebrate the day of love. And yes, love is being sensual, is being erotic. I mean,
creative.
We are creative. Like we come from sex. We wouldn't be here, at least not this incarnation. So sex is sacred. Right? Sensual play, sex is sacred. Eros is sacred, right? And everything is sacred, including this fur. And I'm going to talk about it in a moment. Like, it's sacred. In indigenous culture, the indigenous culture can't go into the forest and kill the animal with utmost reverence, with utmost love, and use the whole of the animal. They use the bones, they use the veins, they use the blood, they use the skin, they use everything. Like it's not wasted in any way. And they're wearing the skins to invoke the spirit, they invoke the the being, the energy, the quality of that animal. Like, and the fox has a quality, like foxy, it's very sexy, it's very sensual, it's transformative. The fox is wise, the fox can adapt. He can live, or she or they can live wherever they want. They can live in the woods, they can live in the city.
Yeah.
Like, they're loners, but they never feel alone. Like, they're adaptable, they can survive anywhere, they're thriving. So there's so many beautiful qualities if you look up the fox, and we were really inviting that. And I work with that since many, many years. I work with archetypes from the Vedic tradition and from the shamanic tradition. I have this, now so recently I've been gifted many, many animal parts, horns and skins and etc. And I'm using them with utmost reverence and love and in deepest honor. Like, and the truth is, like, if an animal dies, it doesn't really die. The spirit never dies. Being never dies. Like, there's a part that goes into unmanifest condition, but then that being is going to take a new life, really. Like, and all indigenous cultures know that. So if we take a life and we do prayers and wish them a better life, they're going to have a better life, unless they have created a lot of things that go against universal values, which animals don't really do. They are always part of Dharma. So we'll see about that more. But basically what happened is we did this video, and then I posted it, and then there was many comments and many likes and many like celebration from our community. But then there were also many haters. Like, how dare you? Many unfollowers. Like, I mean, for some this is nothing. For me, it's been a lot. Like 100 unfollowers in just like 24 hours. It's nothing from one standpoint. From another, it's something. And also hating comments, like, how dare you use a dead skin, and what a disrespectful way that is, and how unsexy that is, and etc. etc. And I respect their opinion and their perception, but we often judge. We have prejudice. We judge without really understanding what's going on here.
Yes.
So it really invoked a lot, because it's what was coming out here was the sacred erotic, the sacred innocence, the playfulness, right? And I have a memory when I was a little girl, I loved dancing, I loved singing, I loved dressing up. Like, this was my element. And so I would go and I would dress up, and at that time I loved pink, so everything was pink. And so I was wearing this pink dress, and I would swirl around the whole room, and I would dance and I would sing, and I would be so loud. And then my family came, like, and I see their eyes, like the evil eyes, like, what are you doing here? This is wrong. You're bad. Shut up. Be quiet. Like, you're annoying. Yeah. And I remember this little girl just like, I'm wrong. And I'm wrong. And what happens is we feel ashamed. Like, I'm wrong means we interpret it then, or we feel ashamed and interpret it as I'm wrong. There's something wrong with it. How dare I be so loud? How dare I sing and dance, and there's no way of, as a little one, that you want to show off. It's not showing off. It's just your natural expression and celebration of life and the ananda, the childlike of your body, because the body is pure ananda. Yes. Like, we masturbate, we self-pleasure. I don't really like the word masturbate because it means to pollute with your hands in Latin. So I like to use the word self-pleasuring. But we self-pleasure in the womb. Yeah. Right? We do that. Yeah. It's full ananda, this body, joy and fullness. So you also had an experience like that, right? You told me.
Exactly. And that is the beginning of guilt and shame, right? And that imprints in our lives to the end. As adults, we are holding ourselves because of this very early age imprinted of guilt and shame, which has been just caused by the adults or the caretakers that didn't really understand that what we were doing was just play. So it happened to me as well, and a few times. It was not only one time that I can remember. And I was a very spontaneous girl. I was naked because we were living in the tropics. I grew up in Brazil. We were we had a lot of connection with our bodies. And I remember one time playing with my cousin, discovering each other's yoni, and we got caught by the caretaker, by the nanny, which told us that she threatened us that later on in the evening she would tell my parents. And I remember that memory in my body. I had to work later on because every time that I would show my yoni, I would have like this trembling in my belly. And there was so much shame and so much, and there was more than shame, it was fear. And one time in one of my therapy sessions, it came so strong, that image of she threatened us and really, and really taking this in a very bad and traumatic direction. And thank God that I could walk through my traumas and those episodes in in the trauma therapy sessions.
These are the things that come up in your trauma, right? And this is what can you explain like how these old incidents and experiences, like how they create trauma in a little girl when or a boy, when we are like in our fullness, in our joy, in our pleasure, and then we're just fully innocently playing, and then an adult comes and kind of shames you, and how that goes into the unconscious, and then you're like many years later it's gonna come back in a relationship or in a situation when you're like out swimming somewhere and somebody looks at you weirdly. Can you just explain a little bit the dynamic that happens there?
Any event that happens in our childhood is always getting printed in our nervous system, and this is from that moment on, that is how we operate, that is how we relate to the world. And then no matter what was back then, that I've been carrying guilt, shame, fear, disgust, self-worth, not being able to appreciate myself or to value myself. Any of those incidents, those events from our childhood, and especially when they keep on happening, it completely shapes our nervous system. It shapes our nervous system, and this is how, since then, we operate. We operate in our business, how much we trust ourselves, how much we value our work, how much we are confident, right? In our relationships, that comes through jealousy, insecurities, and it creates attachment issues. And I did a lot of work for myself, and that's how I became a trauma therapist. Through the self-work, I got fascinated how much we can heal and how much we can become a healed person, empowered again and confident, and seeing through the veils of all the body pain, the pain body, right? Because until then, as adults, we are pain body. And it's all caused back then by the way...
You mean we're living out the pain body? We're like living in the pain body and live our life from the pain body instead of the ananda, the fullness that we are.
Exactly. And you're going to be so surprised when you start become aware of this pain body in our relationships, how much we are carrying it throughout our lives, and how many people in our community, in society, in life, how many humans, we are all imprinted by deep, early childhood trauma. And
especially that there's the shame, the sexual trauma.
It's huge, right?
So big.
I'm still, we've been initiated by you in the sacred sexuality, and you have been holding a lot of space for me. So really blooming on that. And yeah, it's really interesting. I became a very serious trauma therapist and yoga teacher, and everything was to ascend and to get enlightened and to get so correct and fit in. Even fitting right? in the spiritual box.
Yeah.
Even fitting in the spiritual box.
Like how we were able to kind of free ourselves from the Western oppression, the system, the matrix. Right. But then we came into the spiritual world, the yoga world, and how there are so many So many agendas, so many
Judgment.
ways, so many judgments.
Oh my God.
How to look, how to behave, how much money you can have, how much you cannot have, what to wear, what not to wear.
Yeah. Don't make money. You
Yeah.
don't sell your work. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to ask for money from people. What you do is service. And you know that.
I know that.
We know that
I
one.
was broke for so many years.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't charge. Like I wanted, but I learned to just ask for donations. And so for many years, I would just live on donation. It was wonderful. And I'm so grateful to have experienced that because
Yes.
I really went to the bottom where there was no money at all. And I was so taken care of. I had food, I had clothes, I had the most amazing people at that time in my life. I still have them in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to really get to the bottom and see, okay, I am loved, I am worthy, I am taken care by the universe. I really don't need any of these material things. I am fine. So having this bodily felt sense experience was very important.
So we know that.
So we know it.
We
Like,
know we are taken care and we can survive and
we
ultimately
live.
we don't need anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But we want more than that.
But then, maybe if that's really genuinely your path, you are the sadhu path, the sannyasi path, which is the monk life, and you have sincerely, no interest in any material gain, a relationship, wealth or money or fame. That's sincerely no interest, not out of pain or out of insecurity or out of self-judgment. If it comes, that's different. But that's very rare. For the most people, 90% or more, it's so important for us to really develop a healthy relationship with money, with wealth, with the relationship, with children, with the house, have a healthy relationship.
Yes.
And that's also the whole trauma work. Yeah.
The goddess here, what I understood, I like glamours.
Yeah.
I like beautiful places.
Yeah.
I like beautiful clothes. I like jewelry. I like traveling.
Yeah.
And if this
and you love being barefoot naked by the beach as well.
And I'm
the
so
completeness.
happy. And I lived for more than 20 years like that.
Yeah.
I gave up of everything. I'm divorced from my husband at the age of 26. I got in my backpack. I became a backpacker and I went to India.
Yeah.
And for 12 years, I gave up of everything, of the luxury life and money and positions. And then it come to the point that I realized that I want more. Now I'm ready. I know I'm happy without having it. And now I want that, right?
From a place of fullness, from a place of grace.
Yes.
From a place of, it's available here.
It's available here. And I see how much work I've been putting on and deconstruct all those beliefs and the relationship with money, spirituality, what the money, spirituality they have to do or they not having to do with each other. They are the box of being a spiritual teacher, and how serious my work always been. My fascia release therapist, which was quite masculine. I would not see people on the floor. I would see people on the massage table. Everything had to be very clinical. And
because clinical is acceptable.
Clinical is acceptable.
Medical is acceptable.
Right?
And
it gives you a status. And I think I share with you this week, that was my father's dream for me to be a doctor. So I was okay. I didn't do medical school, but now I'm in the clinical path.
Yeah.
Even with my yoga, I remember in some cases I would go to corporate to teach people in corporations and business because it was very serious. It was very tied up. And
you feel like, okay, I'm doing some justice. I give back to my dad in that way.
Right? And all of that came later on, not many years ago. And I'm like, enough. I want to live this life wild.
Yeah.
And that's my background. This animistic goddess here who grew up wild.
Wild, so wild. She's so wild.
And then comes into my life.
But that's something you haven't shown on social media.
No.
And you want to share? There's a fear.
I'm getting chills
now. Social media, it's Gaiana Lisboa, the yoga teacher, the trauma therapist. And like us posting this yesterday, it was a big one for you also. Like I gifted her this most beautiful red negligee, like this kind of style, but in red. I gifted to her as a present. She's like, no, I cannot wear this.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, it took me years to be able to wear this. It took me many years to be able to be comfortable now on camera with this.
And how I was supporting you, I remember I said, no, you gotta do like this because it looks just stunning and sexy and beautiful. And it's like, oh, I want to be that, right? In that way. And
it's for myself, it's for ourselves. This is not to impress you or a man or anyone. This is just the innate, raw, luxurious priestess, sex witch, sacred prostitute. You know, that's there in us. Like, prostitute, I have so much to talk about that and how this word got demonized and the whole...
The next one, right?
Yeah, it's the next podcast.
You got to talk about the sacred prostitute.
Yeah.
Because that is a big one.
It's a big one.
And it's going to touch all of us.
Yeah.
And
so like being the yoga teacher, aromatherapist on social media and coming out as the wild, animistic, Brazilian witch.
And I denied so much my roots and my ancestral line for so many years. Also, one thing that I never share in public is that my upbringing was very animistic, and we would have like full-on spirits in the house. My whole family evoking spirits and talking in light language, and doing a lot of trabajo, a lot of
work,
and to offer to the spirits, to offer to nature.
Like in Bali, like
full-on candomblé, right? This is African Brazilian practice, a spiritual practice. And because the way has been introduced to me, the way it was, for me, it was quite scary because there was no education behind. It was just this very big, intense moments of dealing with spirits and seeing my family on it. So I remember praying by the age of 13 to stop seeing things, and I left this whole world. That's when I started meditating and seeing angels and connecting to another spiritual world, but for me it was more light.
Right, angels is more acceptable than
black spirits and doing black magic.
Black magic, right?
Whoa.
Like who of you, like if you think of black magic, just hear the word black magic. Is it like, yummy, amazing? Or is it like, ooh, scary? Like most people associate black magic with evil, right? Satan, bad. But the truth is black magic is the magic of going into the underworld, the shadow. And black magic is sacred. It's Kali. It's the getting to the bottom of things and coming really to your truth. So what people mean is bad magic. But it's bad magic when we abuse our power, when we do against people. But just black magic is not bad. It's the depths, it's the root. But it's interesting to use again the word black.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So like black magic, how black is associated with bad. Dark.
Yeah.
And black and dark is sexy, is hot, is attractive, right?
Yeah.
And then you bring light, you bring truth there. But it's going into the underworld and claiming
nature.
It's our deep nature,
right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened to me when I left Brazil very young, and I entered totally very committed to Ashtanga yoga because it was very disciplined, and it was again military, and that is
every day you do the same series every single day.
Discipline.
5
in the morning, you open your yoga mat and you're gonna practice it, and everything followed up with the myofascial release therapist, and then everything in the same box. But and then not so many years ago, there was a big liberation through going back to my culture and connecting to my ancestors through that religion, through the candomblé, and then Iemanjá, Oxum power, and Yansan, and all the goddesses of nature and the orishas. They came so powerful.
Iemanjá is the goddess of the waters, right?
Iemanjá is the goddess of the waters.
Yeah.
the sea waters, the salt waters, and then oceans, the goddess of the waterfall and the rivers and the abundance and gold. And she's lush.
She's so beautiful.
She's lush.
She's so stunning.
Right? And Sun is the wind and the storm and the one who destroy and create again. So yeah, all that to say that this is in my blood and has been pushed away and denied by fear, guilt, and shame. Those very primarily emotions that we imprint in our system, we get imprinted in our system. And in the work you are doing, I see how much, I do a work of trauma healing and trauma release, but only that is not enough to get where I'm getting, where I got it, where you got it.
And that's the aspect of adding pleasure.
Pleasure.
You can do all the trauma work you want in the world. It's not going to completely rewire. I mean, pleasure and Vedanta, pleasure and self-knowledge that you are
spirituality, pleasure together into the trauma healing.
Yeah.
I saw people healing without doing that, without bringing sacred sexuality, without bringing spirituality. But that is another level.
It's another level.
That is another level. Because it's still there is things to be bring up to light.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's so good to be connected, to feel your pleasure, to feel your sexuality, to feel all. It feels like so complete. So
when we talk about pleasure, it doesn't mean at all running away from anger or hate or grief. It's welcoming the anger, it's welcoming the frustration, it's welcoming the shame and really making love to it.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna love the feelings. Like yesterday, all day long, it was heavy on my heart, having this projection that I'm like abusing and disrespecting animals. Like I love animals. I am in so deep reverence of all beings. And most people who know me, they know that. Like there's no question about that. But still, like then I feel the pain of people's own judgment and their projection, and it's there. And I was just feeling it, and I made love to it. Like I was just like hours. Yeah, hours. And I sent all this love to the fox and to all the animals. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how can we, and that has become a big piece of my work, like my breath works. We start working through the breathing and through the emotions, and the invitation here is to find your pleasure.
Find your pleasure.
Orgasmic anger, orgasmic fear, orgasmic shame, orgasmic shame.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that says everything.
That says everything.
How important that work is to
So
humanity
important.
and has been changing my life. Preparing for this next, I just turned 50.
Isn't she fucking amazing? I mean, look at her.
Woo!
50 years old. This can be you when you're 50, This is the new image of 50-year-old woman.
Oh, yeah. We have a big
I have so much to talk about menopause and all the myths. I mean, we're going to have many more episodes coming.
We're going to have something more together.
Yeah.
And yes, and I feel that sacred sexuality together with the trauma healing and bringing pleasure to the work and accept the shaman inside me is life preparing for this next 50 years. So the second breath.
Second breath.
The second wind.
The second spring.
The second spring. The autumn now.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to come, like I have in Davies School, I have many programs, and one of them is called the Muse. It's a Devi. It's a Davies, the goddess, she who shines, and it's also an acronym for devoted, embodied, Vedantic integrated coach. It's an embodiment coach training, where it's coaching certification inspired by Leila Martin, with whom I studied. And then with all my 20 years of experiences, lived experience in the Vedic tradition and the goddess archetypes and the Tantra and Taoist tradition and other traditions, like a combination of really 15, 20 years. And I've invited some of the most amazing teachers. One of them is Gaiana, and there are like 6 more other teachers, a sexual medical doctor, 25 years experienced shamanic sexual wisdom a shaman teacher, there is a breathwork and pelvic floor specialist, there is an Ayurvedic specialist. There's just like this incredible faculty, and we're running this certification, which is really a deep dive into trauma and becoming a trauma-informed. Like trauma therapist is something else that takes 3, 4, 5 years, but trauma-informed, pleasure-based coach, and we are holding this, and we are going to have a new cycle
with a
soon.
Strong spiritual
foundation. Very strong, because this is my foundation.
That is your foundation. Yeah. Very strong.
Very
and that
strong.
makes the whole difference.
Yeah.
Makes the whole difference in the program. I would say her programs are masterpieces, and it's I know so many teachers are so far in the path, and I've studied with so many people, but your programs feel so full, whole and complete to me, and I would recommend to anyone who wants to really dive deep and go into the no bypassing, with support, safety, spirituality, and all the support one would need to transcend.
Thank you. And I want to also congratulate Gaiana. She's launching her book, a Women's Embodiment Guide.
Exactly.
Her life work of 25, 30 years experience. It's an incredible book, and I have the honor to do the foreword.
Yes. Oh my God. We decided this week, and it was like, seriously, you're gonna do my foreword?
It's an honor.
Such a gift to have.
So get the book, support. It's an amazing book. It's one of a kind. Really, it doesn't exist out there yet.
No, and it has been the whole 30 years of my experience with myofascial therapy, researching yoga, myofascia, and trauma healing through the subtle body, the physical body, and how much all the women I taught my life an embodiment guide for women. So that is, it came an embodiment guide for women because as the feedback of the women, how embodied they feel, they were feeling with my work. And it's going to be published soon. I hope by March we have the book on the shelves to be bought and online. And if you are curious, just go to my website, and betalisboa.com.
And then if you want to get dressed up as the queen, priestess, witch, maga, Saraswati, Durga, you are, go and check out Kanika Temple Wear. It's like each piece is done with so much love, woven by Indonesian goddesses with prayers. Like, these are the capes from Moon Rising now, which is an incredible brand as well. It's with the same spirit of really like honoring the indigenous and bringing in the weaving tradition. And the clothes is just absolutely stunning. I love it.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Debbie.
you so much. I love you so much.
I love you. Wow.
From my heart to yours, deepest gratitude for your presence. May you follow your wildest dreams, live your highest purpose, and expand into the infinite, because that's what you are.